Hello everybody, Steve here, back again with another tabletop baseball video. This time I am going to do something a little different. The Longball Baseball game has been getting a lot of attention lately, primarily because Tony Porter and Kurt Bergland have been recording videos on their channel about Longball. And I also did my last series, most recent series, in my Pirates replay with Longball. And I've recorded a lot of other videos in the past on Longball, as has Kurt. So with that, what I thought I would do is today walk through how the result boards are laid out. And so I'm going to be jumping around between applications and files here on my screen. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit as I jump around and get things set up. So this was my last video that I did on my replay, and in this video I showed you what the long ball cards look like. This game is a kind of a hybrid between stratomatic and apba. The stratomatic part is that 50% of the results generally come off of the batter card and 50% of the results come off the pitcher card. The apba part is that the once you roll the dice, you get a result code or play result number, I guess you could call it, and then from that you look it up on boards, which are designed much like apba boards are designed. This is an excerpt from one of the boards. So the 8 columns represent the 8 on-base situations, and the horizontal rows represent the results corresponding to the result numbers, which are down the left and right-hand side. And what I'm showing here is results 1 through 7, which is where all the extra base hits come from. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. But in general, well, 1 is typically a mix of doubles and home runs. 2 is mostly doubles, but once in a while a home run. 3 is a lot of doubles with a couple home run chances. 4 is doubles and triples. 5 is mostly triples. 6 is mostly triples, and 7 is a home run no matter what. So that's that. Let me see if I can get us back down to where we need to be. Okay. So, oops, we don't want that. So let's talk about results 1 through 6 for a second before I get to the main part of the video. So what I've done here is I've typed in all the results for 1 through 6 for the 8 on-base situations. And this is a percentage of times that those on-base situations come up. Now, this particular set of percentages is probably from the early 70s, but I don't think it's really changed a lot over time. So bases empty comes up about 55% of the time, and then men on base occur about 45% of the time. So we already talked about kind of the general nature of these result numbers. The other thing I'll mention is that in long ball, a pitcher can have a G rating. And if he has a G rating, it cuts way back on the number of home runs he gives up. So what I did is I did a kind of a mathematical calculation, and we'll just focus on the left side without a G rating. But as you can see, if you roll a 1 result, it's going to be a double about 2/3 of the time, almost never a triple, and then a home run about 30% of the time. So 2 is a double 97% of the time. 3 is a double 90% of the time, but there will be some home run chances off of a 3. 4 is still a double, but it's not quite as many as a 3, and that's where a small triple chance will come in, and really hardly any home runs. And then 5 and 6 are actually somewhat close to each other. The only difference being, sorry if I'm making you dizzy, but they're basically focused on triples. And in the case of 5, it's a mix of triples and doubles, and some chances of home runs on a 5 and 6. I personally would have made 5 and 6 a little different, so that maybe it was 50-50 doubles and triples. It's beyond the scope of this video, but it would have made certain card creation decisions easier if that were the case. Now, as I said, on the right side here is what happens if the pitcher has a G rating. And what that basically does is it takes away almost all the home runs from the one result. Only 3% of the time is there going to be a home run, as opposed to 30% of the time if the guy does not have a G rating. So that just gives you a general feel for how these boards are laid out. Now, the main thing I wanted to do in this video is walk you through all 50 results. And this will only probably make a lot of sense to you if you play long ball or plan to play long ball. This happens to be a dice roller and a helper that I created. The dice roller part over here rolls the dice and produces a number for each die from 0 to 7. You can see, yeah, so here's 50. I also, if you have regular dice and you wanted to play long ball, but with your regular dice, you have two choices. One is you can count the 8 as a 0 on the main roll, or you have an 11 to 88 here, although you really couldn't use this unless the cards were also built on 11 to 88 system. So ignore that for the moment. What you do over here in this cell that I just clicked on is you type in the result number, like 1 we just talked about, and it will tell you for every on-base situation what the result is. And we already talked about 1 being doubles and home runs, unless there's a G rating. 2 is a lot of doubles but occasional home run. 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel free to pause on any of these. But as I said, 5 and 6 is where you get your triples. Yeah, so, and then 7 is always a home run. So then 8 through 13, I think, are singles. And this is where the pitcher grades come in. And so, and these are somewhat color-coded, but you can see with bases empty, it's always a single for 8. But in certain situations, depending on the grade, it could be an out. And so, in general, 1 is better than 2, and 2 is better than 3, and 3 is better than 4. But for a given result number, it's not entirely the case, and I've computed all those percentages because I need them when I'm building card sets. So here's 9. Occasionally that will result in actually a strikeout with the bases empty with the better pitchers, and you can see if there's a 9, particularly the good pitchers are going to turn that into an out. 10 is another type of single with some possible outs depending on the grade. It looks like for a 10, a grade 3 actually is a little bit more dominant. I wouldn't have necessarily designed it quite this way, but that's what they did. 11 is a single in most cases. but not always. 12 gives you a single in most cases, but there are some runner advancement options that are thrown in here, and if the bases are empty and you get a 12 and a single, then it triggers an option to steal on the next pitch. And then similar to apba, if you get a 13, it's a single and the batter automatically steals second base. Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. And so obviously a guy like Lou Brock is going to have a lot more 13s on his card. So starting with 14, you get the results that aren't hits. So we'll just go through those pretty quick. You can pause. But 14, as you can see, is a ground out and actually going to be a double play. But if runners are first and third and infield is in, the result's going to be different. The runner's going to be out at home. 15 looks like a pretty straightforward ground out to the catcher or the pitcher. 16 is a hit by pitch in most cases. You do see over here that there's a random error check here. Some result numbers are more oriented toward error checks than others. I think if you go back to the beginning of the video, you can see what an error card looks like. I'm not going to cover that in great detail on this video. 17, this is an error check in many cases. The board itself typically says safe on error, but what it really means is an error check. And then from the error check, you can get either an error, an out, or sometimes even a single. 18 is a ground out, and with runner on first, it would be a double play. It looks like 19 is similar. It's a ground out with potential for double play. 20 is always a strikeout. 21 starts the flyouts. So these would be shallow flyouts, it looks like. 22, very similar. It's just to center field. 23 to right field. 24 is a ground out, and it's a force, a fielder's choice, at least with a runner on first. And this result is also affected by infield in. So 25 is always, well, I'll say always, it's almost always a walk, but the pitcher can have a control rating, which allows him to produce a lower number of walks. And so you can see certain situations, the walk just results in a reroll. 26 is a ground out. 27 is a ground out with a double or a line out and double plays in many cases. 28 is mostly an error check, but a few random singles and hit by pitch pop outs are thrown in there. 29 is a ground out, and in certain situations a double play is a possibility. You can see in the case of runner on first, if the runner is a F10 speed, which is the fastest runner, he's not going to get doubled up. So that's kind of interesting. There's a little tidbits scattered all around these long ball boards. Originally, I didn't like the idea that it wasn't standardized in some way, but the variety actually, I think, in some ways enhances the gaming experience. So you don't always know until you check the board what the result's going to be. 30 starts the pop out, so that's first base. At second base for 31. 32 is the shortstop. 33 starts some flyouts. So here's a flyout to left field. And when there's a runner on third only, it could score the runner. Otherwise, the runner's going to hold. 34 is the same idea, but to center field. 35 is to right field. 36 is a pop out to the third baseman. 37, fly out to left field. Must be a short fly. 38, the same thing, but the center. 39 is a fly ball to right field. And there's potential for some runner advancement from second to third, depending on the speed. 40 is almost always an error check, but there are a few random things thrown in there. 41, 42, and 43 I modified. Originally, these were ground outs with runners on. They were ground outs, and the runner was thrown out, or the batter was thrown out at first base, and the runner on first went to second. At the suggestion of Tom from the Facebook group, I've changed 41, 42, and 43 to be fielder's choices, where the runner from first gets thrown out to second. I don't know if Tom does that for 41, 42, and 43 for all three or not, but that's what I did. I think that can help keep long ball scoring down just a tad by keeping the runner or resulting in a runner at first instead of a runner at second. Looks like 42 randomly has an infield in effect. You can see down in the lower right. 43 is another one, but there could be an error check with the infield in. So again, a little variety. It looks like a strikeout thrown in along the way. 44 is interesting. It's kind of a mix of ground outs and hit batsmen, singles, error checks, strikeouts. Again, that's the variety I was talking about. 45 is a foul out to the catcher. 46 is a strikeout in many cases, which is kind of random, but also there's some caught stealings if the runner's on first. And there's even a wild pitch and a fastball thrown in there. 47, with nobody on, it's a foul out, unless the pitcher's wild, and then it's a walk. Otherwise, it's a wild pitch. So your wilder, or a pass ball. So your wilder pitchers are going to have a 47. Well, most pitcher cards I think have 147 on their card, but wilder pitchers may have more than one. 48 is kind of a mix. Now we're getting into some unusual runs, so we could have injuries come up on 48 if you're going to use the injury system. And some other miscellaneous results on 48. 49 is again some unusual things. There's some pickoffs if the runner's on first and second. If runners on third, there's an attempted steal at home, which is unsuccessful. You could get a triple play here. In a couple of instances, there's an error check. So 50, the last one. Oh, and there's an infield in effect on 49 as well. So 50 is mostly an error check, but you could get a hit batsman, a rain delay, a single, some error checks. So that's kind of a recap of the result boards in a way that might not have been visible from before, because they are a bit intimidating when you look at the result boards. So hopefully this provided a supplemental look into the result boards. I'll probably put a few links to some long ball videos in the description. And that's really it. So thanks for watching. And as always, comments are most welcome. You can like the video to let me know that you've watched it. And you're always welcome to subscribe to my channel. So thanks again for watching.